So if you remember, we had covered AAA. Can anybody tell me what is the full form of AAA? Alex?
It will be authentication, authorization, and accounting.
Correct. We had understood what is authentication, authorization, and accounting. Anybody has any queries in that?
Clear those.
And we had done a lab also, right? Last time we had done a lab on AAA with the local user credentials. You remember? With two routers, we had configured AAA and we had configured different privileges and used it, right?
Yes, we remember.
Okay, so that is one of the method of configuring AAA. Okay, like use privileges and configure the commands in each privilege and apply that privilege to that user. Okay, so we can configure using the local method as well as using server. Okay, so in server itself we have Radius and TechX. Radius is mainly used for network devices, like all the network devices, not only Cisco network, like switch, routers, right? All network devices, say endpoints. Okay, if we need endpoints to be authenticated before they are connected to network, before they get even the IP address. Okay, we use Radius actually. Okay, and TechX is like what we are using for our device administration, like all the network device that we have in our network are part of TechX. Okay, it is a method of identity management, centralized identity management. So Cisco has two products actually. One was legacy ACS. ACS is now end of life. We will not see ACS nowadays. And then we have Cisco ISE. Okay, that is currently being used. Currently, we have Cisco version 2. Like in our network, we have 2.4, but in we have Cisco ISE 3 also now, which is cloud based. Okay, so Cisco ISE basically when Cisco like started with ACS, it was purely device management. Okay, and they used Cisco ISE 1 for Radius. Okay, so ACS was for TechX and like device administration, and ISE was for Radius. Then they in ACS 5.x actually they had both the features, both Radius as well as TechX. Okay, and then they have totally taken out ACS and everything is now on Cisco ISE. So this part we had already completed. Okay, have you guys done the lab on this one? Authenticating using local user database, authorizing using different privilege levels, logging the actions, right? Have you guys done the practical on that? This just requires two routers in EVNG.
Yes.
Vivian, you have done the practical?
Sorry, Santosh.
Yeah, Vivian, have you done? Okay. Have you done the practical on this one?
For the ISC? No, not yet.
Okay. Sorry, your voice is very feeble actually. You mentioned that you have done it, right?
Sorry, let me just fix my headset. Actually,
Okay. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to hear you actually. That you have done the practical. Okay. Sheila, you have also done the practical on this?
No, I haven't done.
Okay, please go through the recording and do the practical for this one. Okay. Now we'll start with the theory part. Okay, so radius is basically again open standard. Okay, and legacy ports that radius was using is UDP 1645 and 1646. Okay, the new code of radius is using 1812 and 1813. So if you like currently, if you take any radius server, right, it will be using 1812 and 1813. So why do we require two ports? Basically for authentication and authorization, it will be using the first port. That is 16 in old code, it will be using 1645, and then in the new code, it will be using 1812. Okay, so because of a port conflict or whatever may be the reason, actually, now all the radius servers standard port is 1812. Okay, be it Microsoft or any other radius server, right? It is using 1812 as the default port. Okay, and for accounting, for the logging part, right, they are using 1813. Okay, so there are two connections that are always made for radius. One is for authorization and authentication, and second one is for accounting. This part is clear?
Understood.
Yeah, this is mainly used for the network access actually. So in network access, in the sense, suppose the machine is booting in. Okay, so we can use 802.1x actually, and we can configure we can configure, say, only machines that are part of our company should be able to connect. Okay, no other machine should be able to connect, even though the ports are open. We are not implemented port security. If any other machines are connecting to our network, they will be totally isolated. So those things we can configure using radius actually. Apart from that, also there are many other usages of radius, like in VPN also we can use radius. Okay, for BYOD we can use radius servers. Okay, so the primary purpose of Cisco ISE, the primary function of Cisco ISE is radius actually. Okay, and radius is a very big, like in any big company you go, right, like they will be having a radius server. If you go to a airport, right, so they will be providing a free Wi-Fi. So that Wi-Fi is also using a radius server. So once you will be taken in to a web, first of all you will have to register, and then you'll get access for 1 hour, right? And your machine, all details will be captured. Okay, so that is called profiling. So profiling is also done by Cisco ISE. Okay, posturing, they will check if the machine is already compromised, or they will check it out before doing any, before providing anything. So lot of features are provided by Cisco ISE. Radius is one of the main functions actually. Okay, that Cisco ISE is providing. And TechX is another function that Cisco ISE provides. So TechX is mainly for device administration. When I say device administration, it is like network devices, right? When we add network devices, if you want to do only the network administrators should have access. If say if NOC team is there, or if we have L1 team, they should be having lesser access. So that type of privileges can be configured through a centralized software, that is TechX server actually. So same thing can be done with ACS, and another one is Cisco ISE. Okay, so that is called TechX with TechX protocol, and TechX is using only one connection. It uses only TCP port 49. Okay, so whenever you're going through this one, right, you should understand that radius is using 1812 and 1813, and TechX is using TCP one, only single connection, whereas radius will have two connections. Then it will encrypt all the packets, like whatever that username, password, everything will be encrypted. Okay, and it is a single connection, as I mentioned, right? Single connection for AAA. Okay, so this part is clear. Yes.
Yes, it is clear.
So what is Cisco ISE? Okay, Cisco ISE is very scalable solution. Like Cisco ACS was also used actually, but it was not as scalable as Cisco ISE. Cisco ISE architecture itself is very scalable. Okay, so in a company which is spanned over different continents, right? We have typical architecture, hierarchical architecture that we can implement with Cisco ISE. So it is very scalable, okay, and it can provide network access policies, both radius as well as TechX, right? It can provide centralized access policies for any device, basically wired or wireless VPN, right? It can provide network access policies for any device actually. Okay. We can put different types of policies. There are a lot of policies that you can put. Okay, many like vendor specific attributes are there. Okay, almost all vendor specific attributes are captured. Like for example, Apple, or you say the network device, the vendor specific attributes are already captured by Cisco actually. Okay, so that is already available, and we can build policies based on that. Okay, and it is composed of conditions and results actually. So whenever it is initially, it will like it. If you see the architecture, it is very easy. But once you go in deep, actually, it is little bit difficult as you go like more in detail, right? But once you do some practice, right? You understand how to add the rules, how it works actually, then it will be much more easier. So we will have to practice and practice on this actually when we are if we have to expertise on Cisco ISE. Okay, Cisco ISE supports both physical and virtual environment. So it has physical devices as well as virtual devices. Okay. So if we see Cisco ISE in a nutshell, actually, it provides the visibility over all the network. We can check which machine is connected to the network, right? We can know what a user has done, when he was connected, when he was disconnected. Everything we will have full visibility, okay, through Cisco ISE. We'll have full control. We can say which we can as we are defining the policies, we will have full control. We can define the policy. We can say that no mobile should be able to connect, or no, in the mobile itself, no Apple mobile should be able to connect. Like that we can configure, or no Chinese mobile should be able to connect. So we can configure in different ways the policies. Okay, compliance is one of the major factor why we implement Cisco ISE is for audit compliance and for getting security certifications, right? So this is for mainly used for compliance actually. Okay, uh, this is Cisco ISE in a nutshell. Again, right? And radius actually. So we have different ways actually. The users can connect using WebAuth 802.1x map. Okay, so WebAuth, as I told you, like in second, couple of minutes. Okay, I'll be back. Just 5 minutes. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, I'm back. 1 second. Okay, so WebAuth, as we mentioned, and basically the users will be provided whenever they are trying to access anything, first of all, web authentication will come and they will have to authenticate out themselves, and then only they will be able to access. Next one is 802.1x. We can configure different type of radius policies for machines, right? And web cameras, IP phones, right? We can configure radius policies actually, and based on if it is authenticated, then we can authorize them in different ways actually. Okay, that is what we use 802.1x. It is used in many big organizations, and that is one of the major functions, main functions of Cisco ISE. And then is MAB. MAB is MAC address bypass. MAC address bypass is used wherever we don't like the devices does not support 802.1x. For example, printers. Okay, if printers are not able to support 802.1x at that time, we have to add their MAC addresses in the database, endpoint database, and use MAC address bypass. Okay, so for devices that do not support 802.1x, we use MAB actually. So this is again same thing actually. We can do policy administration, network enforcement, and this is our main emphasis of this session, that is device enforcement. Next again, if we see Cisco ISE actually, we have something called PX grid actually. So where all the logs can be collected to a what we say centralized log server, and there it will do the log analysis like IDS, and it will provide us if there is any violation happening or any vulnerability, right? It will send us a mail notification. Okay, so PX grid is a new feature that has come from 2.x actually. Okay. So this is more into Cisco ISE actually. Okay, Cisco, whenever we are implementing Cisco ISE, right, it has different personas. So when we say personas, right, the Cisco ISE image is the same. Okay, when we are installing the Cisco ISE, first time when it comes up, right, we can decide which role it will take, which of these three roles it is going to take. Okay, so there are three roles or three personas that the Cisco ISE server can take actually. So one is PSN, and second one is PAN, and third one is monitoring. Okay, so when we say we will start with PAN. Okay, PAN is basically it is an administration node. So all the administration will be happening through the PAN. Okay, policy administration node. So we cannot do changes in PSN. We cannot do changes in monitoring, MNT. We do all the changes from the PAN. It is the management server. Okay, so we will be having a PAN, and then we will be having a backup PAN actually. And then we will have PSN. PSN should be near, like for say for India region, we should have a PSN or say Manila. Okay, so for Manila itself, we should have one for different sites in Manila. We should have one PSN. It should be nearer, say for 100 millisecond, right? It should be nearer, like at least 100 millisecond. It should be reachable. So we will have to design the PSN based on that, where the devices are going to be located. Okay, when we say the main function of it is radius, right? So if we want to do the radius profiling, if we want to say that one machine is being connected to network, and it has to get the IP address only after it authenticates and authorizes from the PSN. So it has to be nearer to that region. So we will have to design it actually. So there will be many PSNs in what do you say, in the network actually. Okay, whenever we are implementing Cisco ISE in a big network. Okay, so it is basically responsible for network access request processing, like whenever a request is coming from the network device endpoints. So which Cisco ISE will be processing, which Cisco ISE person, it will be PSN that will be processing it. Okay, PAN is for administration only, and MNT is for login. Only logs, like all the logs from the PAN, and like everything will be logged in MNT. Okay, so it is a dedicated log server. So did you understand these three personas?
Understood.
Yes.
So apart from license, also now new this is a new type of license that is being implemented. Okay, so this is coming from 2.7. So if you see base feature will be there, then we will have advanced feature. Okay, so base feature will be having authentication, authorization, guest profiling, provisioning, and guest provisioning in the sense web auth actually. That's what guest provisioning means. Link encryption policies we can do. Okay. But if we need to do profiling, when we say profiling, right, we need to say like only Linux machine should connect, or only Mac machine, or what do you say, only Azure like what do you say, any Intel processor laptop. So many type of profiling, like whatever policies you want to create, right? It will collect all the logs from the endpoints, and you can determine how to do that. Like, so for that, we use profiling. Posturing, as we said, like if you want to check antivirus is there, these type of posturing, then only it should get connected, or any particular software is there in the machine, then only it should get connected. So that is called posturing. Okay. So those type of if we are going to implement it in security group access, actually, if these new features are we are going to implement, right, advanced features, so we need to get an advanced feature like term license. Okay. So these are the licenses that are there. But if we are going to take device administration, we have to take a device administration separate license. Okay, these all will not cover the device administration. Device administration is TechX. So if we are going to configure it as TechX, we'll have to take a TechX license. And very good thing about lab and learning is the license is free for 90 days. So you can download it from the Cisco website and you can use it for 90 days actually. Okay, so till 90 days you can use all the features, and within 90 days you have to purchase the license. So you can do the lab actually, and you can study, and you can learn about Cisco ISE if you want to implement it. Okay, so this part is clear.
Yes, it is clear.
Next one is again architect, like how we implement it, right? How like a deployment. Okay, the network deployment of Cisco ISE. So we can implement all the three personas in a single box. We are not a big, if we are not a, if it is just a small deployment, we can configure PAN, we can configure PSN and MNT in the same virtual machine or same device. Okay, you don't require different ISE device actually. In a single device, you can configure PAN, PSN, and MNT. Okay. If we have a very big environment, so in that case, we will have to implement distributed. Okay, so it depends on the how much scalable, how much big environment we have. So we will have two PSNs for sure. We can have two MNTs, right? So suppose like there are different scenarios that we like that are there. Okay, if you from the design perspective. So if we say if we have two locations, say in US we have two locations, two data centers. Okay, say location A and location B, or data center A and data center B. So PAN 1 will be located in data center A and PAN 2 is located in data center B. We can make the standby as data center 1 and standby MNT, like active MNT as data center. So there are different types of implementation that we can do in a way that it should never crash. Okay, there should be not a single point of failure in PSN, and PSN should be always nearer to our devices. Okay, wherever devices is that, right, in that country or in that state, right, should have the PSNs based on how many endpoints we are going to then how many endpoints will be there, as well as the reachability to the PSNs. Okay, so this part is clear. The deployment part.
It is clear.
Vivian.
All clear, boss.
Sheila.
Yes, clear.
So same thing that we had discussed earlier also with the local AAA, right? So first policy that will be processed is authentication policy. Okay. So first authentication policy will be processed, then authorization policy will be processed. Okay, so everything, like if you go to radius, if you go to like if you go to TechX also, we will have to configure policies. So policies are configured in the same way. First authentication, then authorization. First authentication, authorization. Okay. This is something like for the radius actually. If you want, we can cover it, but this mainly like if authentication policy is matching, what will happen? If it is matching, basically there can be two conditions. When if it is matches, then it will continue. If it does not match, then it will drop. Okay, so and then authorization policy also, we can have standard and exception policies actually. So exception policies are processed before, like before standard policies, exception policies will be pushed. So we can configure exception policies also and standard policy also. Two different types of policies we can configure in authorization. Okay. Again, same thing which will be happening in authentication as well as authorization. It will, all the rules will be processed top down. Okay, until the first one matches by default. Okay. And then we have access accept and access reject. So there are two types of message that will be happening here. One is access accept or access reject. So if authorization like condition is matching, then it will be access accept. If it is not matching, then it will be access reject. Okay. So as we said, we will have to have the access accept before access reject. Or if access reject is happening first, then access accept will not happen. These things are same as our firewall rules actually, like whatever we configure in the best practice in firewall rule, right? Same. Now authentication policy. Authentication policy is like we can route it to identity stores. Okay, we can configure identity sequences. Identity store in the sense we will have local database. Okay, local database is there. We can have endpoint database. We can have user database. Okay. Now once it is, and then we can have Active Directory, LDAP, right? Once it is authenticated, then token is given to the authorization policy, and authorization policy access accept or reject. Okay. In authorization policy itself, only policies if authenticated, like how will the traffic come to the authorization policy? Only if authentication policy is matched, then only it will come to the authorization policy, or else it will never come to the authorization policy. Okay, so that we have to understand. Once the authorization done, what all we have lot of power. Like it is a very complicated tool. We can configure a lot of things here. Okay, once it is matching, actually we can, what all things we can configure access list. Okay, this is downloadable access list. We can configure different access list and port wise access list we can configure. VLAN, like we can configure filter ID access list, per user access list we can configure. Okay. And then voice VLAN permissions, MACsec, URL redirection we can configure. So a lot of things once this matches, the condition matches, we can configure a lot of results actually. So that is what it is mentioned here. If condition matches, right, then allow protocols. If authentication protocol can be used by the supplicant, validate. This is the authentication, like how the authentication happens basically. So if condition is matching, okay, basically condition in the sense we can say whether it is MAB, TechAX or radius. So if it is radius packet, then only it will come to the like first condition is it should be radius or it should be TechAX. Then it will hit the rule, and after the rule we will say that which is the what do you say, identity store it has to go through. Okay, so validate, and then it will validate the credentials. This part is clear.
Clear, boss.
Yes, it's clear.
So if authentication policy again, then as I told you, right, if condition, so same thing actually. So if it is wired MAC address bypass, wireless MAC address bypass, 802.1x, wireless 802.1x, right? So the packet will by the protocol itself, it will be able to identify whether it is coming through TechAX, radius, in radius itself, wired 802.1x or wireless 802.1, it can identify it, and based on that we can create different authentication policies. Okay. And authorization. Authorization policies is like a if condition, like same thing. Okay, we will first of all, if particular user is matching, then what has to be done? Okay, so we'll mention if say for TechX, we will take an example for TechX that you will be able to understand fast actually. So suppose we can create two user groups. Say we can create a user group for NOC and we can create a user group for network admin. Network admin will be having full access, whereas NOC will be having some specific access that we are like some specific access to run some commands that we are allowing. Okay, so if first of all the user will be coming instead of TechX here, it will be coming from the TechX from instead of Radius, it will be coming through a TechX session. Okay, once it is coming, if used identity, we can say identity store. Okay, we can say that this particular user group, that is network admin. If it is from network admin, okay, what has to be done? Okay, if it is from NOC admin, what has to be done? So I will show you that. Okay, so this is the theory part. Yes. Okay, this is the theory part. There is a lot of theory. It is a like if you go to a Cisco ICE session, right? You will have a 5-day session actually, and in 5-day session also it will not be fully completed actually. So I am just taking in a. I think I have taken it in less than 30 minutes. So it is very less. There is lot of other details that are there. This is just how the policy is processed. Okay. So this is the topology I have built for this lab actually. Okay. So if you see Cisco ICE, actually, let me see the Cisco ICE is up. 1 second. Okay, Cisco ICE is up. But today, what I'm going to do is today I'm not going to do Cisco ICE actually. What we will do is we'll check on the ACS object first, and then in the next class we'll check on Cisco ICE actually. Okay, because Cisco ICE takes a lot of time to come up. So do you guys want to see it from the installation part? Do you guys want to see how it comes up and how do we configure it from the base installation part? It's up to you, or you just want to see the config.
Mm,
If you want to see from the installation, we can do from the installation also. Okay. ACS and ICE installations are almost same, like almost same in the sense ACS installation will complete in within 5-10 minutes, but Cisco ICE installation will take at least 1 hour to 2 hours actually. Okay, so it depends how much time it's. So I had started in, like I say, in morning actually to build this lab. So ACS is done. Cisco ICE is like it just came up now only. So it takes a lot of time for Cisco ICE to come up. Okay, so shall we do it from the scratch? What do you think?
I think it's best.
I'm not able to hear you actually. If you are all saying yes, we will do it from the scratch. Vivian, Sheila, Alex, Alisa. If you are not able to say, you can type it in chat also.
yes, I'm able to see.
Okay, great. Chris might have already seen it. So, Sheila, what about you? You also want to start from the scratch? Like from the installation part? Okay. Sheila, you are with us. I'm not able to hear you.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't say it, but yes.
Okay,
From
so let's
installation.
first of all shut down this application switch actually. We'll bring in a new node. We can say it as Cisco ACS. Okay. We are using 5.8 version, the latest version. We can do a save. Okay, we will give it a connection here. Okay, save. We can start here. Okay. Start here. Let's see if, which IP is free network, just so that it does not give a conflict with other device. Ping 192.168.1. Means for the lab purpose, we are just finding one IP address that is free. 229 is free. Use 229. Okay. So we have to configure ETH2/2 in VLAN 100. So any one of you, can you help me to give the command to configure it in the VLAN 100 ETH2/2? Alex or Sheila, can you tell me the command to configure it in VLAN 100?
Switchboard mode access, and then switchboard access VLAN.
That part is done. We'll also do a. Okay. Now you can take this one. Okay. So now it is ready. Okay, so we can do setup. Okay, setup. We have to give a host name actually. So we can say lab ACS. We will definitely have a naming convention. As for lab, actually, I'm using lab, and then the whatever we are having, right? ICE or ASA or switch, right? So I'm using that naming convention. You can use your naming convention. Okay, so this will be 02. IP address. We had decided on an IP address 1.229. Mask is 255.255.255.0. Right? Gateway is 192.168.1.1. Okay. Domain is lab.com. You can configure any domain you want. Okay. And I have configured a Windows server actually for lab. So I will give that IP address just for time. We need to configure secondary NTP server. If you want any different time zone, you can configure the time zone. SSH, we need to enable SSH. Okay, so this we are going to configure so that we can remotely access the ACS server. And then by default, then like a by default, the admin user, like the CLI user. Okay, CLI user will be admin. Okay. And password you can set it. That is your password. You can set any password that you want. Okay, but it should not have the same letter. So it should not be, because this will be again same having the username. So it should not have the username. So you can configure any password that you want. Okay, and then for the GUI, it will be ACS admin, and by default password will be default. Okay, so you have to get this actually before you are configuring Cisco like a ACS. Okay, so we can configure ACS and the password that you want. I have given one password. So now it will take some time. Okay. So this is the installation. Okay, once the installation done, we will just come to the GUI and we will show it to you. So if you come to the other session, right, the configured one. So I have already configured here actually. So not to waste your time. So this will take some time. Okay. So here show status. Yes. And so in ICE, you will be giving show application status ICE. Okay, it will show all the services that are running. This is a very, very important command. Okay, so this is the very, very, very important command in in ACS and in Cisco ICE also. So in Cisco ICE, it will be show application status ICE actually. So you can note down this command. Okay. Apart from that, we can, it is like as it is a Cisco device, we will have show commands. Okay, so we can just give show version, show interface, show inventory, like whatever we can do, right? Cisco devices, we can do the same here also. Lot of show commands are there, right? We get SH also, it will work, right? So it's almost like a Cisco device. So you can do a lot of same thing, show tech support. Okay, so tech support will take a lot of time, but it will have all the information about this Cisco IS actually, or Cisco ACS. Okay, so Cisco ACS is the legacy device. So nowadays it is not in production. So this part is clear, guys?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes, boss.
Yes.
Now it is saying it is not able to ping the name server because it is shut down. So would you like to proceed? Yes. Oh, sorry, I don't want it to. You should have given no actually. Come up again, we'll give no. So I am logging into the GUI. This is it. Password was. So if you see here, right, we can configure network access as well as we can configure for like a radius as well as stack access actually. Okay, so as of now we are not bothered about radius actually. We are only taking care about device administration. Okay, network access and device administration. You are able to see it right under policy elements. So you will be, we can configure both radius as well as TechX. So we are going to do only TechX. Okay, if you want like a, you can configure radius also, but we are not using it in our network, so it is not required for us in for production purpose. But configuring radius also is simple, and you can practice it with a 90 days free license that we have in Cisco ICE. So this is our dashboard that we have. Okay, and then we have network resources. So here in we can create locations like for different locations, right? For India, we can create one location, say Bangalore or Mumbai. Same for Manila, we can create locations. For any site, we can create locations, and we can add device type like say a switches, firewalls, routers. We can create different defined device types here. Then we can add the devices. So we can, I have added two devices here, two switches, switch 1 and switch 2. So we can add devices. So when we add devices, so we have to give a name, switch say switch 5, switch 4, and then we can select that location that we have created. We can select the device type, switch firewall, and we can give the IP address. And then we have to give a key. Okay. So before we go there, find one image for you. If you see this image, right? See, so in radius as well as in TechX, there will be three parts. Okay, one is supplicant. Okay, supplicant will be passing the credentials to the authenticator. An authenticator will be the network device. In case of radius actually. So in case of radius, a supplicant will pass the endpoint will pass the information to the switch. Okay, and switch will pass it to the authentication server. So authentication server is ICR. You must always remember these three things: supplicant, authenticator, authentication server. Okay. So here we are configuring in TechX. We are adding the endpoint here, network device, and when we are adding network device, we have to give a key also. Okay, so we can say 192.168.1.2.34. 34 is already there. And we can give key this. Okay, so we can give so key submit. So till this part, everything is clear.
Yes, boss. All clear.
Okay. So once we have done this, we have added the devices. Second is we have to add the user ID. Okay, so we can go to the here we can create first of all we can create a group if you want. We can create a group. I have created groups for this. We can create groups. Let's see what is happening here. Now we are going to see. So if you see, we can add a group here. Okay, create group, right? We can say audit, audited. So if you come into all groups, you will be able to see audit admin, NOC admin, network admin, right? We can create groups first, and then we can create host. So identity store, right? Identity store are two types. Whenever you are going to learn, right, you must understand there are two types of identity store. One is user and one is host, endpoints. Okay, so endpoint identity store and user identity store. So we are going for TechX, we are going to create users actually. So like we can, instead of creating it in our Active Directory, we are going to create it in the TechX server itself. Okay, so in TechX server we are going to create, I have created two users here. You can create a user if you want and say okay, and it is part of this. Is easy. Till now, Alex, Vivian, Elisa, you are able to understand? It is easy till now.
Yes, Santosh.
Yes, boss.
So you can give any password that you want. Okay, then we have to go to policy elements. So we have to create elements here. Okay, now we are more like we are configuring the TechX side. So we have to come into device administration. So in device administration, there are two things. One is shell and one is command set. So we can create a shell actually. Shell is basically privileges. Which privilege you want to give. Suppose you want to give a privilege for 1, we have a privilege for 5. We can create different privilege levels. Okay, so that is called shell. And for each privilege level, what command you want to give. Okay, so that is part of command set. So these two parts are clear: shell, profile, and command set. So we can create privileges and then we can assign the privileges to the command set. Okay, but these are two different elements that we are configuring under policy elements. This part is clear. You can just configure one just to show it to you. So I can configure, say, TechX, or we can say and we can come here and we can say it should be dynamic. So be static. You can say privilege value 5. Static 5. Okay, same thing if you are doing, if you want 50, 50, you have to come here, select 50. Okay, this part is clear.
Is clear?
Okay. Yeah, I see this is an interactive session. This I am taking for you guys only. Okay, so you guys have any doubt? Okay, because you are not asking the doubt. There can be only two things, that you are able to understand everything or you are not able to understand anything actually. Okay, so you please ask questions actually. If you are not able to understand, please ask question. We can clarify it. Okay, we have Chris also. If I am not know also, Chris can apply, or we can both search and we can provide you an answer. Okay, so till now this is clear. Shell is the privilege level that we want, and command set, we can create a command set if you want, like we can give any name you want. I can just, for test purpose I'm giving command set 4. Okay, for command set we are giving for privilege level 5, so we can say privilege level 5. Okay, and we can say what command you want to allow. So I can say that he is allowed to allow give show, all show commands. So if I give add here, it is all show commands. Okay, rather than this, if I just want to say that he should be able to give only show version, so I can say show version. Okay, so he will be able to do only show version and rest will be denied. You're getting me? Okay,
Yes.
so now we can
That's when you select deny all comments. Just it will be allowed show version, and all the other comments will be denied, right?
no, that we are configuring on the policy. Like when we are configuring the policy, right? This is command set. So command set we can, when we create, right, command set. So we can create what all commands. Like if you remember the privilege level that we had created, right? For each privilege level, if you remember, we can give different commands for that privilege. Okay, same thing here also for each like privileges. We are just creating the objects that can be used in the policies. So two objects are there. What are they? Shell profile and command set. Okay, so we are creating these policy elements that will be used in policy. Okay, so first is the shell privilege, second one is the command. In command we have to give, if we have to give specific commands, we can use like this, and we can say here we can give some commands, configure. Okay, so if we give configure, you can do after configure anything you can do. Okay, but if we give configure terminal, you will be only able to type configure terminal. But if you want to do configure terminal, right? So if we give configure terminal here, and suppose he does that WR, he will not be able to do. If he tries to do show command, he will not be able to do. So we have to give different commands here. Show. Okay. And we can have parent command also. Like we can create different parent set, and after in that parent set we can select here that parent set also. If not, we can give deny. So currently we have these commands. Suppose we have to give all, he should be able to give any command that he wants. So how will we do it? There is no command like all commands, right? So what we will do here? All. Okay, so what we will do is we have to give here permit any command. Permit any command that is not there in the below table. Okay, so there is no command in this below table, so all commands will be permitted. You are able to see? You are getting my point, right?
Yes.
Yes, boss.
So these two are clear. Now we will go to access policy. Before that, we'll just check what is the status of our installation. So it is saying NTP server is not able to sync. Do you want to retry? We don't want to retry. Okay, now the installation will start. At this point, you should not not press Control C. Okay, so if you see the Cisco ICE installation also, right? But it will take 2 hours to, like, it depends on the hardware that I have, like we have actually. So I am having 128 GB RAM and but still it is taking 2 hours. Okay, so show it to you. Just the initial installation part I will just show it to you. In the next session anyway, we'll go through the Cisco ICE in detail. If I start here. Okay. Okay, it will also come to the same thing, setup. Okay, I will show you once it comes, right? We'll go through that. So where were we actually? This one. So we have configured the policy element. Now we are going to configure the policies. So for policies, first thing we have to configure is access service. Okay, so we have to configure an access service first. So we can configure anything here. So if you see here, by default there will be default device admin, default network access. We have to configure one more access service. Okay, so you can give it your company name, or you can give it if we have different access device access requirement, right? We can give different name. So as of now, I have given device access. Okay, so if you want, you can create a new one also just to show it to you. So as of now, if you see here, right, default admin, and default network access, device access. There are 3 points here. Okay, so similarly, we can create. It is just like a section. Okay, so we can create a service, access service. We are creating. So we can create, say, okay, and we can select from here the template that we want to use is command auth. Like we want to give different commands, right? So we can use template. Okay. And then we'll give next. Okay. Here the password is coming in the what actually, like it is coming from the device to the, what do you say, to the TACAC server, or to the ICE to the TACAC server, right? Whether it is ICE or ACS, how it is coming? It is coming in ASCII and PAP actually. Okay, so based on that we are selecting it. So we'll keep it by default and then we'll finish it. They are saying it is created. Would you like to modify the service selection policies to activate this? Yes. Okay. So now this is not activated, right? This is not activated. So for activating it, we have to create service selection rules. That is what it is saying. Okay, so we have to create service selection rule. Okay, so we have to create one service selection rule. We can create in this section. We have to create one rule. So we can say devices. Okay, and in this, as of now, I have protocol device IP. Now if you want, you have many other conditions, okay, that are there, but it is not showing here. So why it is not showing is you can customize here. Okay, you can say that I want to do it based on location, network device group location. First thing that we had checked, right? Location. Say all the location. Okay, we can give specific location wise also. Okay, or we want to give it device type, like we can say firewall. For firewall different, so we can create like that also, different policies. So as of now we are saying TACACS as well as the protocol and the device IP address only. We are using only those 2, but if you want more, you can use these conditions also if you want. Okay, these conditions are available. Okay, so as of now I have created a rule that matches. One second, this is not the role that I created. This is the one that, okay. This is for TechX. The rule should match TechX, and the device IP address should be 192.168.1.234. Okay, so instead of that, we can create one more for you guys so that you can understand. You can give any name you want. For naming convention, we'll keep it like that. Okay. Device access 2. Okay, protocol we can match as packets. Okay, and device IP we can match as 92.168.1.235. Okay, what we have, what is that we want actually? We want it will be part of TechX service. That we created a TechX service, right? So once we do it like this, TechX service will become green. We have to save that actually. It will become green. See, it is become green. Now inside this we have two things: authentication, authorization. Authentication, authorization. So we can say identity is the part of authentication. So when we go to identity, right? We can directly, it is saying as part of internal users. No, we want rule based, so we can say rule based. Okay, and in rule based we can say like rule 1, if the protocol matches TechX and the user is part of what we say internal user and the IP address is 192.168.1.133, okay, then authentication matches. You are able to understand this rule, identity rule?
Yes.
Alisa, Vivian, you are able to understand it? Alisa, Vivian, you are still with us?
Hi, boss. Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah. So here also you have different conditions. Okay. Now we have selected 3 conditions. You can have more conditions also. This is for authentication. Okay, the first part. So here you can have more conditions. There are many other conditions that are there. So you can say that if the time matches, say it is only daytime, this user should be able to log in. Okay, so like we can create daytime, like a time wise also. We can create location wise also. We can create device type also. You are getting me, right? Okay.
Yes, boss.
Okay, so different types of conditions we can match. As of now, we are matching 3 conditions. One is it should come from the TechX protocol. The device IP address should be like individual IP, but suppose we have 200 IP addresses. We cannot give each and every IP address as like a device IP address, right? So rather than that, what we will use? We will use either we will use NDG location, or we can use device type, or okay, so we can use any of these actually. Okay, this part is clear.
It's clear.
So that is identity, authentication part. Then we have authorization part. Okay, so once authentication is done, then then only it will come here. Okay, there should be no other doubt. If authentication is not happening, okay, it will not come here. Okay, so suppose in case you have in the rule you have given wrongly. Suppose you have in this you have given wrongly, like identity source is you have given internal host. Okay, now this rule is not matching. The traffic will not come, is not matching any of these two. Okay, if suppose a user tries to log in here and he is part of the internal users, but he is not, the device is not part of internal host, so it is not matching the authentication, so it will not go to authorization. Okay, you are able to understand, right? So first authentication has to happen. Okay, so if there is any typo or if it is not correctly configured, right, it will not go to the authorization part. Now in the authorization part, what we are saying, we can create different type of rule as per the requirement. It is up to our requirement actually, how we want to create. Okay, so we, as per the lab requirement, what we have done, we are saying that if the user is part of network admin, okay, permit all commands. Okay, if he is not part, if he is part of NOC admin, he should be only able to execute one command, one specific commands. And what is the privilege level? We are giving the privilege level 15 also. He will be able to access able to execute only these commands. You guys are getting me?
Yes, Santos.
Okay.
Yes.
Here again we can condition. If you see here, right, I have mentioned 3 conditions again. The same thing, condition result, same thing we have in the rule, it is mentioned like that. Okay, so if you see here, it is mentioning condition and result. Okay, so result we had configured in policy element, right? Command set, shell profile. Okay, it is almost similar when we are configuring this in the Cisco ICE, but it has a lot of options. Okay, so once we this is a very subset of Cisco ICE. Once you understand this, it is very easy to understand what we say Squise actually. So you're able to see it, right? So now if I try to access switch 1, okay, I have to access it from I have to access it remotely actually, because okay. So guys, I have configured this on the Cisco ICE. Tell me whether it will work on the device.
Sorry, what was that?
I have configured everything required on the ACS, right?
Yeah.
Now I have configured, I have added the network devices. I have configured the username, local username, password, right? NOC admin, network admin, and then I have made them part of NOC admin group, network admin group. Then I created policy elements like command set, shell profile, right? And then I created a authorization policy. Now everything is done on the ACS side. Will it work on the network device? Like if I try to log in with network admin, will it work?
If it is configured on the network device, it will work. If not,
Correct. So we have to configure the device actually. Okay, we have to configure the network device. Okay, then only it will work. We have to configure the network device to say that our TACAC server IP is this one. Okay, what is the key that we are going to use? Right, so that then only it will work. Then again we have to mention authentication, AAA authentication login, and AAA authorization we have to mention, right? So let's try to do that. Like it is already done on one device. Let's try to do it in the other device. 1 second. Okay, so let's try to access this one. Okay, so if you see here, 1 second. Okay, so if you see here, currently nothing is configured. Okay, so if I try to access switch 1 actually, it is everything will work fine because I have already configured it. See, network admin. I'm able to log in. I'm able to give all the commands, permit all. Okay, now we are going to configure switch 2, and in switch 2 what we have given here, if you see the switch 2, we have given only command set 2. Okay, so we are going to configure switch 2 now with the TACAX commands. Same thing. Okay. You're afraid safe, right? Now we are going to configure AAA model. Okay. AAA application. Login. You have to give one name, so you can give whatever name you want. Okay, so you can give it says TechX, anything you want. You can give the domain name also, whatever your company name. Okay, but it should be same standard across all network devices. You have to give TechX. Okay, so authentication part is done. Okay, now we have to mention TechX. Do you remember what was the key actually? Okay, so we have other command like group wise command is there that are used in the new Cisco IOS. Okay, as of now for lab purpose we are using this one. Okay, now if we try to do a telnet, it is not working. Why? Because in line VTY we have not configured. One second, we have to configure in line VTY 0.4. Okay, we have to mention login authentication. What was the word that we used? And then we have to give what all transport is allowed. Like, do we need to allow SSH? We need to allow telnet. What all things we have, or we have to allow everything. We can give transport input all. This part is clear. Now, if I try to do a telnet here. Okay, we gave the command in the wrong switch actually. So we have to give it in the switch 2. Okay. Before wasting your time. First of all, again, we have to give some username. Random username. It is lab admin. So now we can give AAA new model. So can somebody guide me on the next step? AAA authentication. Again, you can give some other word that you want. Say you can give TechX. Whatever word you want to give, okay, it's up to you.
All right.
TechX. Now this turn is done. You have to go to line VTY 04, right? And then you have to give login, authentication. Okay, and transport input. Telnet or SSH. If we in production environment, we should never have telnet. So we should only have transport input SSH. Okay, so as of now, I am giving all as it is. Now I am trying giving it a try. Okay, so here, tell me what command I have missed here. Vivian.
Let me see.
At the target server, yes, the server,
The server is not mentioned here. We have to mention
but
the server.
the error says that it's
Correct. So we have to mention the server here. TechX server. Okay. Host. You have to give the host IP 192.168.1.230, right? And key. Yeah, I think we have already saved it. Oh, it's okay. So now if I, it is giving me a username, right? And here it is not showing anything. So we can do what we can do is logging console 7. So all the logs will be shown in the, we can say, authentic. If I try here, here. See, so what it is saying is a status is failed. You're able to see, right? Status is
Yes.
failed. Okay. Okay. So now password I give it correctly. Now what is it showing? Yes. See, status is pass. You're able to see it, right? Okay. So now.
Okay, we're able to see.
Yeah. So the authentication is happening fine, and we are able to log in. But we are not able to. We will not be able to give anything because authorization is not given. Okay. So we will give authorization now. Okay. So next will be AAA authorization commands. We can give like if you have a built-in, like we should have a already configured set of what do you say, AAA commands actually. So we can use those actually, or we can we need to by heart it actually. The authorization we have to use execute in exec mode. What all things we have to allow? We have to allow lab proof, like whichever it is. 1 second. What is the one that we are using? TechX. Okay, so we can If you want to give privilege level also, we can give privilege level also here. Okay, authorization, authorization, right? We can say command privilege, yeah, 15. Okay, we can say 15 and same name. Want to give some like a 1, 5, we can give that also. Okay, is this part clear?
It is
And
clear.
apart from, we can do accounting also, AAA accounting, like that is for logging actually. So accounting, same thing, we can do command privilege. Do the word. Yeah. So here we have one more option actually in accounting, right? We have one more. Commands 15. We have one more option, that is start stop. Okay. You remember when we were configuring firewall logs for policies in Palo Alto firewall, we had two options to log the traffic: start and end. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so we have to give, we can give it in accounting, we can give start, stop, and then we have to give root TechX. Okay, so same thing for exec also, you can give AAA accounting exec, right? And then we can give, where is exec? Yeah, exec TechX, start, stop, root TechX. Okay, is this part clear? If you see
It's clear.
AAA accounting, right, there are many options actually. You can log all these things. You can log any connection that is coming. Okay, so if there is a connection for all the outbound connections, right? That is also there in like we can log it actually. Okay, so there are a lot of accounting options that are there. Okay, we have a standard option that is there in our SOPs, so that has been compiled, right? So we use it. Then you can go ahead and try to find what each and every option in that SOP stands for. Okay. So now we have configured authorization accounting line we divide. It is little bit slow. So before we finish that lab, right, we can first of all we can see our ACS ID. Where is ACS? We can switch off one of the devices. So if you see here, installation is completed, and if we type enter, right, it will get rebooted, and after that, see, we are going to get a screen and we can access it from the browser. Okay, so this is how we configure ACS. This is the installation of the ACS. Okay, this part is clear to everybody?
For me, it is clear. Yeah.
Okay, so I will shut down the ACS Okay, I'm going to shut down the ACS because that is already we have done it, right? Now we'll go to the ICE actually. So what is the status of ICE? Let's see. See, you remember what this same login was there in Cisco ACS also, right? Yeah, we can do setup. Okay. One second. So host name. What is our host name? We can give anything, any host name that we want, right? Same to same setup. Setup is same to same. Okay. Only till when it comes to the like it will take lot more time. Okay, than ACS, Cisco ACS. And second thing is the options that are there, the front end options, right? The dashboard, lot of options are there in Cisco ICE. Not able to type it here. One second. Okay, so I will give lab one just I will give an IP address 192.168.1.246. Okay, then I can give 192.168 domain is. We can give like whatever domain you want. Name server 192.168.1.2. Secondary no, that's fine. We want to add any time zone that we want to configure. SSH service. SSH service is very important, so we have to enable SSH service. Same to same. Are you getting me? So it is same to same in Cisco ACS and Cisco ICE, right? The installation is same to same, but here the default password, default GUI and GUI as well as what we say CLI username is admin. Not unlike our ACS, right? Here both are admin. Okay, the
Understood.
GUI username is also admin. The CLI admin also is admin. Okay, this part is clear. It is the same to same installation. There is no extra step. Once we get the GUI, we'll have little bit difference. Also in the command, right? When we typed in the command, we typed show application status ACS, right? So in there we will have to type show application status ICE. Here we have to type show application status ICE. Okay. So now I will just shut down this one, so the lab will become a little bit fast. Okay. So authorization. I was part of just checking on the authorization. So I will say authorization commands 15, right? What was the tech access? Okay. Authorization. Okay. You can give same thing. TechX. Okay. And if you want to give anyone, actually, if you want to give authorization command 1 or 5, anything that you want to give, right? You can give the same thing for accounting also. accounting exit. We can give. Okay, excellent. Okay. The same thing, accounting command 15 we can give. Same thing we can give here. Accounting. So this part is clear, guys. This part is clear. How do we configure it on the devices? You have done it many times. Okay. You've done it in all the devices many times. Is this part clear?
Yes, it is clear, Santos.
Yes, boss.
Now if we try to access this device, you see the prompt. Okay, so we are authenticated. The authorization is successful. If you see here, right, authorization is pass, right? We are able to authenticate fine. Now if you want to test it out, you don't have to log in and test. You, for testing also we have a command, right? What is the command? You have always used it for troubleshooting. Tell me, Alex. Test AAA. We can use,
Play.
yeah,
So,
TechX plus. Okay, and we can give
Another-
whatever is the username. I think username, yeah, so NT admin. Okay, and password. Password is admin@1234556. Okay, you have to give new code. You understood new code, right? So new code is for the AAA new code, right? We have new ports also being used, but for TechX it is same. Okay, TechX it is port 49, TCP port 49. See, it is authenticated fine, successfully authenticated. So this command is very, very important. Let me put it into chat for you. Okay. So please keep this command handy for just troubleshooting TechX, right? You can test it out why it is not, because you cannot give debug command in a switch, or sometime it might overwhelm the device. It might exhaust the memory. So you cannot give this in a production device. Okay.
yeah.
If at all you have given it, you have to do view. Debug all. You all also it will work, but it not working. So this part is clear.
Yes, it is clear.
Yeah. Now if I do right here, I am able to do. I am not able to do right here. Why? But I was able to do right in the switch 1. In switch 2, I am not able to do right here. I would like Sheila to tell me why it is not able to write here. Sheila, you know why we are not able to write here? If in switch 1 I am trying. With the same user, it is working fine. We can do a write also. But in switch 2 it is not working. Tell me why. Sheila, you're able to hear me? Sheila. Okay, I think Sheila is away from computer. Alisa, can you answer that?
It's because the authorization or the um authorization policy is not
Correct.
allowed
Correct.
for the NT admin.
Correct. So in authorization policy, we have given all, like permit all commands for this IP address. This condition is this IP address. For this IP address, we have, because the condition that we are giving, right, that is what defines actually the authorization level. Okay, so in the condition what we have mentioned, in condition we have mentioned, okay, so in condition what we have mentioned is authorization. You see here. So it is mentioned if the IP address is 1.234, protocol is TechX, group is network admin, permit all, right? If the IP address is this one and like protocol is TechX and user group is network admin, only permit CMD2. If you want to see CMD2, where can we go and see? Vivian, can you tell me where we can go and check on CMD2 commands?
Policy element.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I will.
Policy element.
Under device administration, we have two options, right? So here we can see command set. See, so only these command we can do actually. Okay, is it clear to you guys? Okay, the TechX part is clear. Configuration, it is almost same. The TechX configuration is almost same, but the GUI will be little bit different in ICE, because ICE is like a very big compared to Cisco ACS. Like Cisco ACS is very, you can say, it's just like a child actually. So it has lot of options in Cisco ICE. Cisco, if you have, like Cisco ICE itself is a big tool. Like we have teams dedicated for Cisco ICE in big companies. Okay.
Understood. Yeah.
All right. So till this part, everything is clear. ACS, we have configured ACS. Any doubts in ACS? Yeah. And one more thing is monitoring. Like here, like in ICE, we had separate personas, right? So here it is nothing. It is in the same server. If you go to monitoring, right? If you click here monitoring, 1 second, it is a little bit slow. And launch monitoring and report, right? So it will open something like this, but for some reason it is not showing me. Okay, it should show something like it will show something like this. And from here we can take TechX authentication report. Okay, so when we take TechX authentication report, right, all the logs will be showing here, but due to some browser issue, it is not showing. Okay, so this part is clear, guys. Okay, so logs.
Yes.
If you see the logs, you have to complete. See, why I have taught you this one is once you learn this, right, Cisco ICE will be very easy. This configuration is very easy actually. Cisco ACS was very easy. Okay, so in Cisco ACS we will be having one Cisco ACS which will be having write permission, and if we have multiple ACS implemented, right, deployment wise, those will be only read only. Okay, so whereas Cisco ICE architecture itself is different. It has 3 personas and the deployment method is also different, right? It depends on how much the company is willing to pay for the redundancy and how fast we want to make it. So, okay. So, are we good on the ACS part? As at least we know how to configure the policy elements, authentication policy and authorization policy. We'll have one more session on Cisco ICE, at least like by this week itself. We'll try to have one more session, okay, on Cisco ICE if possible. So I'm stopping the session now.